Welcome, everyone, and thank you for being here with us. We're very grateful to you for joining us tonight and for being part of our community. My name is Elric Walker. I'm a board member. Before we begin, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Jung Association of Western Massachusetts. We are a mostly volunteer organization founded in 1996, concerned with promoting and exploring in community with others the ideas of the great depth psychologist Carl Gustav Jung. I'd like to take a quick moment to introduce you to our board members and to the members of our advisory board, and to thank them for all their good work on behalf of the association. Christine Olson is our president. Penelope Tarasuk and Erica Lorentz are current board members and advisors, and two of the longest serving members on the board. Erica served previously as our president. Both are authors and practicing Jungian analysts. Penelope's book is titled Polishing the Bones, and Erica is tonight, this is a book release celebration of her recently published book, Body as Shadow, Jung's Method of Embodied Healing. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Peter O'Brien is our speaker liaison. Janine Cooper is our treasurer and bookkeeper. Daniel Kinsey is our newest board member and is assisting with coordination of our local events. I serve as public relations liaison and promotional coordinator for the association. We are also very grateful to our advisory board. Author, poet, and depth psychotherapist Dr. Ed Tick, who previously served on our board of directors. Ed Tick's most recent book, Passage to Poros, is available now. Psychologist and therapist Dr. Carol Beauvais, who also served on our board of directors. Retired family therapist and historian Peter Williams, who also previously served on our board of directors, and Joe Coolin, who was the former publisher of Parabola magazine and who has recently become a children's book author. We thank them all for their many ongoing contributions and for their much sought after sage wisdom. Many kind thanks to Janine Cooper tonight, who is also providing us with Zoom and technical assistance. Thank you, Janine. Upcoming. Tonight is the last in our lecture series for this season, but we still have a couple of more events in the queue. On Sunday, April 12th, a local event for those of you who are local to Western Massachusetts, we will continue our film and discussion series. Sunday, April 12th, 4 p.m., we meet at the Smith campus, the Smith College Campus Center, room 102. There is information about that on the website. If you're local and you've not been to one of these film and discussion events, please come. We will show a short Jung-related film, and then we open up for discussion. The discussion part is often the best part, as we get to come together in person to share ideas and information. It is always soulful and encouraging. So that's 4 p.m., April 12th. Please check our website for more information on these or any other of our upcoming events. You will also find in the archive section of the website videos of past lectures and events. The website is at westmassjung.org. After tonight's lecture, we sometimes continue for a little bit longer, maybe another 20 minutes for a continuing discussion if people feel like they'd like to do that. Our speaker does not always join us for that, but is, of course, welcome to do so. So now I'm going to introduce you to tonight's speaker. Erica Lorentz, a Jungian analyst Her book, Body as Shadow, Jung's Method of Embodied Healing, is published by Karnak. She is a training analyst at the C.G. Jung Institute of New England, where she served as on the training board. Since 1986, she has lectured and done workshops in the United States, in Canada, in England, and in India. In the past, she was an adjunct faculty at Antioch, New England Graduate School of Professional Psychology and a training analyst with the Interregional Society of Jungian Analysts. Pacifica Radio and the Jung platform have featured her work, and her lectures can be found on her website or YouTube. Some of her lectures are also on our website. Um, Her area of expertise is working with the embodied mythopoetic process and the interactive field in analysis. In 1975, her initiation into Jung's embodied active imagination process started when she began studying authentic movement with Jane Alder. Erica is, as I mentioned previously, one of our longest serving board members, and she once held the president of our association for many years. She is a dear friend and a generous contributor to the Jung Association of Western Massachusetts and to our community. It has been, I'm sure, a long labor that she has been engaged in to produce this wonderful book, and we are fortunate that she has brought it to life, and we are fortunate to have her here with us this evening. So please welcome Erica Lorentz.
Thank you. Thank you, Elric. And Janine and all the Jung Association board. I think Peter O'Brien is in the waiting room, Janine.
Yep, he keeps popping in and out. I don't know why, but it's happened about 5 times. I'm not sure.
Okay.
He's having his own technical
There he is. Hi,
difficulty.
Peter.
Hi, Peter.
Okay. So, and thank you all for coming. It's wonderful to be here. It's wonderful to share something I've deeply have been committed to for years and years and years, and that I finally birthed into a book. So we're going to be talking about the body, but let's do a little meditation so we can kind of arrive. So just close your eyes and just take a breath. And just notice your busy, busy mind with the day and whatever is on it. You can't stop it, just notice. And just feel your breath. And notice your eyes. Are you looking, looking, looking? Are your eyes relaxed in your eye sockets? Just notice. There's no judgment. Feel your neck and shoulders and throat. And come down into your breathing. Just notice what your breath feels like. If you just are with something, it will change. Breathe into your back and your sides and your front. And just feel yourself in the chair, wherever you're sitting. Just feel yourself sitting. Your pelvis is on the seat. Your feet are on the floor or wherever. Just feel the bottom, lower half of your body, your legs, your calves, your arms and hands. And just take some nice deep breaths. And notice if that's easy or hard. And feel the air on your skin or your clothes on your skin. And notice any sounds. Just notice, just be. And take a couple of nice deep breaths. And just gently, gently come back and open your eyes slowly. And just kind of look around. Ed, I see that you're still in Greece. And just feel what you feel like right now. So we can become more present to what I'm going to be talking about. And I will help you, remind you to sort of relax your eyes. We take more in, we see more when we relax our eyes. Okay. So I'm going to tell you, I just want to let you know that I have permission from client and any client material that I use. So every book starts with a story. And my story started years ago, but in 1987, I was going to be entering training to be an analyst. I was in Houston, Texas, and I got these horrific headaches. I went to the doctors, no problems. I took medicine, didn't work, didn't do anything. And I began to become suspicious that my body was trying to do something. My body was wanted me to listen. So I did. I started to listen. And just about that time, Janet Adler, who I'd done authentic movement with for years, I had not seen her for a while. She came to Houston, Texas, and gave a workshop. And as soon as I was in the presence of her witnessing, the way I entered into the authentic space of the body was through sensation. I would follow a sensation and just follow what it wanted me to do. And sensation is my fourth function. And our fourth function is what takes us into the deeper levels of the unconscious. And that's where I went. So for 5 years, I followed every gesture, every posture, every direction, every breath, everything that my body wanted me to do. And I did many things happened. But after a while, I began to realize that the energy wanted to come up my torso. It wanted to rise up my torso. So I was trying to help that happen. So I began to do movements that would facilitate that. And it was quite amazing. And what was fascinating is it would get stuck somewhere. And I was in a group and we were doing authentic movements. So people had their eyes closed except for safety. They didn't know it was me. And somebody would inevitably come up and touch me at that spot, which would help the energy move. And that's where I really learned about the interactive field. And I really learned to trust the unconscious in the group. And so over 5 years, I did that, and I did a movement that you usually can't do, but we go into these deep, subtle body states, altered states. And one day, the energy shot through my solar plexus, and I was in a state, I was vibrating, I was crying, sobbing. My hands and my bottom of my feet were full of energy. I had to go around and touch people because there was so much energy. And I was just in a state of ecstasy for a period of time. And I came out of it, and my headaches were gone. So it felt like I had followed my body and it had showed me how to work with this energy. That's what it wanted. So for me, that's the way I work in active imagination. So, okay, so I'm going to share screen now and take us to our PowerPoint. Oops. Oh dear, we don't need a map. And I'm also going to light a candle to accompany us. And here we go. So, okay. Let me just adjust a few things here. Oopsie daisy. Up, 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 up. Okay. Okay, so this is a beautiful painting by Peter Berghauser, who was Swiss. He worked for years with Louise von Franz on his process, and the way he worked with his creative process through his dream, after his dreams, was he painted. And this is the butterfly birth, and the butterfly is a symbol of the soul. Now, Jung was very interested in the soul. And one of my favorite quotes from him is, "The body is merely the visibility of the soul, the psyche. The body is the visibility of the soul, the psyche. And the soul is the psychological experience of the body. So it is really one and the same thing." Now, Jung in 1913 left the psychoanalytic society that he had helped to start because he needed to follow his own path. But he realized before he went on his journey into the unconscious, which he wrote about in the Red Book, which you can all find, he realized after growing up in a Swiss society and after being trained to be a physician that he had lost his soul. And he says, "I had judged my soul and turned her into a scientific object. I needed to call upon her as a living and self-existing being. Us whose desire turns away from the outer things reaches the place of the soul." Okay, right? Do it this way. So we're going to go to my favorite neuroscientist, Ian McGilchrist, who I talk about in every lecture I give. He's a neuroscientist in the UK. If you're interested in him, he's all over YouTube. You can just Google him and you will find him having interviews and lectures and all kinds of things. What he did was he studied brain damage. And through that, he began to parse out how the personality changed, how the information was processed, how it entered, what happened, how the sense of time, meaning, and through this, he began to find and parse out more than any other person I've found, sort of the personality and the functioning of the left and the right hemisphere. And I think that this is so crucial for us as Jungians to help us understand why Jung and this kind of work, this is so important. Okay. So the right hemisphere is there at birth. It should be our foundation. This is what we should trust. This is what McGilchrist calls the master. It has to do with the healthy instinct, the healthy emotion, empathy, intersubjectivity, relationship. It has to do with processing emotions, the embodied experience, the whole body, nonverbal communication, the implicit. Only 7% of communication is our words. The rest is nonverbal. Now, we pick up on this all the time, but this is something I really focus on in my work and my writing, this whole realm of the nonverbal. It has to do with gesture, posture, expression, energy, emotion, voice, rhythm. So the right brain is also has to do with meaning. It knows, it sees the big picture. It sees the meaning, context, gestalt, complexity, paradox, holistic, wisdom. It holds possibilities without interpretation. And this is so important when we're doing this work. We don't have to figure it out. We don't have to interpret it and analyze it. We do it. We express it. We enter into a creative process and it becomes clear. It's about intuition. Intuition mediates over a long period of time. If I get depressed, I've been there before. I know from my right hemisphere that I'll come out, that if I take care of myself and do my work, that I will come out and I'll be fine and I might learn something. prefers uncertainty. I don't know. I don't know is so important, symbolic and creative, the creativity. And it loves individual uniqueness. Now, the left hemisphere, which comes on at 18 months, when we're separating, it should be the emissary. It should be, as McGilchrist says, we get inspiration, we get ideas, we get intuitions, we get dreams from the right hemisphere, and then we go to the laptop, the left hemisphere, where we work that out and we go, okay, how is this useful? What does it mean? What does it mean in that way? So it's about separation, needs, ego. Frontal cortex denies, splits the body and mind, anger and predation. If somebody's caught, if anger is their go-to, the anger fuels the emotion and the energy, and that fuels the anger, and it's hard to get into that spiral. And it's about predation. Now, there are times, and if somebody's defending their country, they need to have connection to their aggression. It's explicit, describable language, direct, focused attention. It analyzes, organizes, categorizes, and hierarchical. Is this beginning to sound familiar for our Western scientific rationalism? So this is where we get diagnoses, and they can be interesting and informative, but that's not about being in the process. It abstracts, conceptualizes, and manipulates to bring control and resolution. It's about fixed ideas, known, discernible, literal, local attention. McGilchrist would say a schizophrenic is stuck in the left hemisphere. They might be wanting to go through a door, but they focus, say, on the door handle, and then they forget. They don't have any long-term time period. They forget and they get stuck there. So the other thing that's really important is the left brain can't comprehend outside of its known explicit worldview. It can't think outside of its box. So if we look at these two, on the right, we see the embodied experience, we see creativity, we see meaning, we see many things that Jung tried to bring into modern mental health. And on the left side, we see our scientism. Now, there's nothing wrong with science. It's helpful, but it can't think outside of the box. So you get stuck in data. You get stuck in a particular worldview. Okay. McGilchrist writes, the right hemisphere is responsible for our sense of the body as something we live, something that is part of our identity. For the left hemisphere, the body is something from which we are detached, a thing in the world, devitalized, a corpse. Okay, so here's another amazing painting by Birkhauser, A Cloven Man, The World's Wound. And we see this split down the middle. And you look at his eyes and they're not focused. Okay, so I parse out aspects of the embodied soul. For me, it's like an ecology, a permaculture. We need all of these parts in whatever relationship that we particularly need. So we have the soul, the body and the senses, the emotion and the energy, the imagination, which is what Jung really worked with a lot, all of these, but the imagination. My feeling is Jung works deeper with the imagination than almost all other therapies.
Erica, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we don't see a shared screen.
You don't?
Is
Yeah.
anyone seeing? Are you
I,
seeing a shared screen?
I see it.
I'm sorry, I don't have it for some reason. I just wanted to make sure. Forgive me.
Oh dear. Well, thank
yeah,
you.
I see it fine. It's yeah.
Okay,
Maybe
good. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, Elric. Okay. So it's also about the somatic unconscious and the subtle body and the mythopoetic process. So I'll get into that a little more. Okay. So what I want to do now is I want us to see we can sort of enter into a feeling of this embodied soul, of this experience, of this left hemisphere experience. So this is Cirque du Soleil. Some of you might have seen this. It's an early one called Quidam. and it's about a little girl's imagination. So for the moment, I want you to just close your eyes again and see if you can kind of let go of all the stuff I've said and just feel your breath. Come back to your breath again. Feel your body. And your presence. Just take some nice deep breaths. And gently open your eyes again and see if again, I'm going to invite you to stay in soft focus and let this enter into you. Just feel the sound, see the movement, and see if you cannot go to your left brain and try to figure out what's happening or interpret it. See if you can just let yourself respond. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing and come back to all of us. And so let's just share what came to you, not analyzing it, seeing if we could come from the right hemisphere of our feelings, our energy, our um, imagining, our body, our meaning. What comes to you? Just anybody can raise your hand or put up your hand in the participants. Is that what it is, Janine?
It's under the react button. If you click
Okay.
react, it'll show you.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah. So anybody want to share anything? Take your time, take a minute. Just a feeling. Hi, Maggie.
It was so, I mean, poignant isn't quite the right word. It's not enough of a word, but it was there was so much feeling and intensity. And the word chrysalis came to mind a couple times when she rapped, you
Mm,
know. Also for me, I was feeling just seeing that dancer's body and how thin it was. Like that was like I was having some feelings about that, but also the immense strength. So it was like I could tell I was seeing a performance and seeing a human do this thing, but I was also very moved.
mhm. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Peter.
Okay. Yeah, the thought came to me that this was the expression of ecstasy in motion, just flowing through her body and uncensored, letting that energy, like you had talked about, come up into her body and
Mm.
expressing it, you know, fully.
And what did you feel?
I was envious.
Ah. Uh-huh.
No, it was. It was hard to put into words. I mean, it was the embodiment of this ecstatic moment. That's what I was looking at. Somebody completely living there in the moment.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
I guess, can you hear me?
Amy? Is that Amy?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Um, so it 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 was really quite convincing. It took me off of the apparatus,
Mm.
which I often, when I see that kind of thing, I'm kind of hanging there with them. But it was an expression, a full expression, using that. And what struck me was near the end, there was a change in the music to a tragic, moment of tragedy. And I've just been reading, curious about the book about Christ and that, the Christ on the cross, a tragedy. That came to mind, and it's kind of like that because it's so outside of our walking realm, you know.
Mm.
At the same time, I felt I felt somewhat limited. My body's ability to take this in, and I'm sitting outside, cherishing the nature, because trying to see with my belly, and it's sort of being stopped off at the screen.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Gretchen.
I feel this sense of awe watching her, just the beauty, the strength. It was just amazing, I thought. And I also tuned into the tragic side. There was something very sad, and I kept thinking, she's hanging by a thread. This is how life is. You just do the best you can to hang on, But I think it was amazing.
Yeah. Anyone else? Feel free. Trying to. Oh,
Erica, we had a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Miranda asked, was the dance choreographed or improvised?
Well, I don't know, but this is a consummate Cirque du Soleil person, so I assume this is what she does. Yeah, but that's kind of a left brain question, you know, which is interesting. So I don't know. Elric, thank you, Elric.
First of all, I'm sorry I interrupted you before, but
That's okay.
anyway, I was worried that no one could see. But I wanted to respond to what Amy and who was the last person? Gretchen, who just spoke about the change at the end, the change in the music. I was impressed with it in the sense that it seemed there was a great joy and abandonment, in a full unself-conscious being in the body for the first part of the dance, and then at that moment when the music changed and she sort of was there for a moment, still. I thought of how there was like a transition to that self-awareness and the self-criticism that comes of the body at that point, and that was what felt sad to me in that moment.
Okay, so sadness came up. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Marissa. Marissa? You're
Can you hear me?
yeah. Now I can hear you. Yeah.
I thought it was so beautiful and the strength, like the absolute strength and in the beauty of what she was doing. And then there was such an urgency to the energy
Mm,
all the way through. And then when it picked up tempo toward the end, it was just like there was such a strong, vibrant urgency to that energy. I just love that.
okay, thank you. Bonnie, and then we'll move on. Bonnie, can you show us?
Hello.
There you are, Bonnie.
Um, so sensual. I was just sensual and sensuality. And I felt sensuality. I felt longing
Mm,
and just like an ache, the sensuality and the longing. All I can describe it as it hurt so good. The longing was just so enrapturing and it was just so beautiful.
thank you, thank you. Let me read a couple of the words. It's in Portuguese. Let me fall, let me climb. There's a moment when fear and dreams must collide. Someone I am is waiting for courage. The one I want, the one I will become, will catch me. So let me fall. If I must fall, I won't heed your warnings. I won't hear them. That's pretty powerful. Yeah. Okay. So we have to move on. And let me go back to share. Share. And uh-oh. Where'd it go? There we go. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Whoops. Okay. So how did we get to where we are? So left brain. I mean, this is clearly she's in such a state of altered state. How could you do that if you weren't in subtle body, if you weren't in an altered state? So I'm going to talk about history. I'm going to leap through history. I'm going to sort of grab some moments of paradigm shift. So I'm talking about old Europe. This is Eastern Europe. 5000 BC was the zenith of the matrilineal, or as Gimbutas, the archaeologist, said, the metristic culture. By metristic, she meant that men and women were equal. It was a nature goddess worshiping culture. It was agricultural, sedentary, egalitarian, and peaceful. There were no weapons of war found in the graves. Its organizing social principle was kinship, and relationship, and it was communal. And the women elders were very important in the power structure. And if they conferred the power to the king or the chief or whatever you called them, and they tested them to see if they had the proper relationship to the goddess, to nature, and to the dark feminine. And then they would be conferred. If not, they wouldn't. So this was actually a very sophisticated culture. It had writing, it had art, it had pottery, it had um, uh, a deep religious structure. And then there was a patriarchal invasion, and I call it a negative patriarchal invasion. The horse was probably domesticated in Mongolia, Tibet, the Arabia. And there was an invasion by horseback from the east, and from sky god worshiping, dominated by males, kings, and priests, stratified and a hierarchical culture. And they wanted territory, and they brought weapons, and they dominated and destroyed. There was a diaspora from old Europe, and the king was supreme. And in order for the king to get more powerful and to keep their lineage, of course, they needed land and wealth and inheritance. And this is when the women began to be subjugated. So this is a goddess figure that was found in the graves of this ancient culture. And here's another goddess figure. And this Native American Seneca grandmother, Twyla Nitch, had a revelation. There had been a series of worlds, and in the fourth world, the greatest division took place when humans created a god and placed him as a male deity somewhere out in the clouds. Isn't this familiar? This created the greatest separation between humankind and the great mystery. Oops. No longer was there a continuous, holistic cosmic unity. No longer was nature sentient. Now, for the alchemist, nature was sentient. The relationship between humans, the goddess, and the world soul was being severed. Her sacred temples were shattered or taken over. The embodied soul, the feminine, became suspect, and it became harder for us to tune into the cosmic language and energy. I also saw on Fantastic Fungi, the film, that in ancient man, the back of the head, or people, the back of the head was bigger, and that's where the cerebellum is, and it shrank over many thousands of years. And that's where scientists thought that that part of the brain might be connected to tuning into cosmic consciousness. Okay, so we go many centuries later, thousands of years, and we come to the Greek culture and Plato, who was an amazing, amazing philosopher and taught us so much, and was a devotee of the Eleusinian mysteries and the Western mysteries. He was also the father of logic and metaphysics. So this is Anne Baring, in the metaphysics, the soul began to be divided into rational and irrational parts. Rational became more hierarchical and primary. Instincts and emotions were more associated with the irrational, lower than the mind, and they were began to be considered inferior and unreliable. Began a separation between the body and the mind, and nature and body were excluded from the sacred order. Now, this is an evolutionary wave that needed to happen, as Tuala Nitsch said. So we move right along to the Roman Empire, which was about, the beginning of AD. And this culture was extremely left hemisphere. They were incredible in organization and management and hierarchical. They conquered much of the Mediterranean, Europe. And one of the things that's interesting is in the Greek culture, Ares, who's the god of war, his temple was outside the village or the city. And when somebody went off to war, they had to go to the temple and get prepared through ritual to enter into that kind of mentality and physical ability. After the war, after the battle, they had to come back and they could not go home until they went to the temple and went through cleansing rituals to release the toxins and get rid of that physical intensity and energy that had to go into the fighting. And then they could return home. If you go to Rome, Mars, which is the god of war, his temple is in the middle of Rome. So he was one of the major gods of Rome. And another very important paradigm shift is that nature and women were deemed to not have souls anymore. When Cleopatra came to visit Rome, they put her in a villa outside of Rome and they didn't know what to do with her. And they used that to conquer Mark Antony, to get the people to turn against him. Okay, so now this is Eve and Lilith and the serpent. The Deuteronomists, who were a Jewish sect, were in charge of the Temple of Solomon, which was the sacred home of Yahweh and Asherah, the sacred couple. The second time that the Temple of Solomon burned, the Deuteronomists took out the sacred groves and the sacred icons and images of the goddess, and it became solely the temple of Yahweh. And Asherah was demoted to Eve. That's where Eve comes from. And Lilith was Eve's shadow. So we get to the Christian church, and the patriarchs and the redactionists did much to change the histories of the powerful women and female preachers around Christ. And Mary Magdalene became a prostitute, as we all know. That was the story. And the redactionists the priests who would copy the old texts, if they found something that did not agree with the growing Christian dogma, the growing Christian church, they would change it, like, don't trust your dreams. And the early text said, trust your dreams. I'm paraphrasing, of course. And then came the Protestant Reformation, where even symbols and music and dance was banished. So we have then all this, the scientific revolution with all these early scientists who were discovering the scientific method and discovering that the moon went around the sun, and all these amazing ideas and ways of looking at the world. And in 1650, Descartes was the one who pronounced and supported that the universe is mechanical. So that if we just figure out how it works, take it apart and figure out how it works, then we can fix it. So this is the beginning of Western scientific rationalism, which turned more and more to the left brain. Now, of course, you take the scientists and the thinkers and the philosophers and the spiritual teachers who create paradigm shifts in particular, and they got their dreams and their ideas and their revelations and their information and their intuitions that would change the paradigm, and then they would take it to the laptop and figure out how to make it work. So this is the history of how we went from the right hemisphere to the left hemisphere. And this is what my chapter 2 is about. So there's a lot more detail in that. So Jung arrives in the early 1900s and starts working and becomes connected to Freud, and then separates and starts his own journey as I said, he went into the unconscious. He did what we might say is a shamanic journey into the unconscious and met his shadow, met spiritual beings, went into the land of the dead. And we can read his journals. They are published, and the Red Book also he transcribed it into the beautiful Red Book. If you don't know it, it also has his incredible paintings. Okay, so Jung wrote, moving along, that individuation, as opposed to Descartes, can only take place if you return to the body, to your earth. Only then does it become true. Individuation can take place when it is realized, when somebody is there that notices it. Otherwise, it is the eternal melody of the wind in the desert. So I'm going to bring in a term that Feldenkrais brought to us called our sensual authority. And this is about coming back into the body, into our own sensual authority, which involves our senses, our sensuality, the gut brain, which has more neuroreceptors than anywhere else in the body, that has to do with our instinct. We know, we feel it, it's right. Our heart brain, which has the next amount of neuroreceptors, which is about love, deep love. And our experience of energy and emotion, they work together. Trusting our intuition, finding our own rhythm. And if we tune into all of this, then we know what we need and we have good boundaries. So I'm going to invite us again to have a little experience here around our sensual authority. So close your eyes again and just take a big breath and just see if you can kind of let go of all the mind things and what I've been saying. It'll come back, it'll be there. And just breathe. And notice where you're tense or where you're relaxed. And feel your chair. Just be present. Just allow yourself to be present. Feel your legs and your feet on the floor. And now this is a sweet little Hollywood film called Shall We Dance? And it's about a man, Richard Gere, who's going through a midlife crisis, and he decides to go study ballroom dancing. And he arrives at the studio, and Jennifer Lopez is a teacher, and she has come back to her home studio after her professional partner jilted her. She's come back to heal. And there's going to be a competition the next day for the students. So this is they meet at the subway. So just see if you can let this come in. Don't analyze it. Just be with it. Just be with what it feels like.
Then I started dancing, and I found I really liked it. It made me happy.
Yes, it shows. I mean, I feel excited about something for the first time in such a long time. Aren't you?
Excited?
About tomorrow, the competition.
No, I'm petrified. I'm going to forget everything. I won't be able to put one foot in front of the other. I'll make a mess of the whole thing.
No.
I know, I'm just...
Give me 1 hour. Leave it. Leave the light. Don't say anything, and don't think. And don't move unless you feel it.
Ay, milonga de amor, ay, temblor de gozar.
Be this alive. Be this alive tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay. Let's come back. Hi. So that was another experience. So what did that make you feel? Just say a word.
Sensual.
Sensual. Thank you, Amy. Anybody else? Stephanie.
I got the freedom of expression, like that having that fear like being judged, but then I think like once you just kind of loosen up, it's like just be yourself, you know, if anyone likes it, fine. If they don't, then screw them, you know? Just be you. Don't worry about don't dance like no one's watching.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they certainly did, didn't they? They certainly
Yeah.
danced like no one, they were just in it.
Just do it.
Yeah. Thanks. Gretchen.
It seemed really joyful to me. Like there was so much communication going on, but none of it was spoken. And it just, I don't know, I loved it.
Yeah, yeah. That nonverbal stuff, you know, that body sensing and rhythm. Yeah. Eric. Yeah, Eric. Thank you.
I think that like the previous performance, there was a going into the unself-conscious place of the body and the soul being one in expression. It was also a beautiful, just a beautiful example of the power of the feminine in that particular interaction as the initiator and the bringing that about. It was beautiful.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah. The feminine. Yeah. To me, she was the teacher. You know, she was Amy, Amy.
Powerful.
Thank you. Michelle?
Yeah, what came to mind was that like another kind of listening, like feeling the feeling and responding to a partner without words, but feeling like when the move would happen. And also it's just a very like a vertical form and like lots of like tension and release. And so like it's like a partnership when one gives, when is the other one responding, a constant dialogue that way.
Yeah, yeah. That movement together. Yeah, thank you. Maggie.
It felt a little dangerous. Like my heart was beating, you know, it was like, and it was like, I think it was something about them. I mean, when do we ever see that? When do we ever see that? When do people ever go there and it's not cheap sex? Like what I loved is that they didn't have the cheap kiss at the end, right? They were just like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And I don't know, it felt a little dangerous. That was the word that came to me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Rosemary, or is that Rosemary?
Hi, it's Eve here with Rosemary.
Oh, okay. Hi, Eve.
Yeah, I love that you've
everything that you just showed, because there's a salsa dance scene here of a lot of partner dancers, and at night I dream the dancers that they are people who are choosing to feel to know God, life through the body. And when I go there after 20 years, it's the same people who keep coming back. And there's something about the male-female dance, the roles, because you can go there, you can play them at the leader or the follower. But either way, it's this incredibly healing experience for me every time of unification. And if I get to be the feminine and surrender, there's something so healing about that in a world where I feel like I'm forced to be masculine all the time. But your circus one, I thought I didn't get, had to cook at that moment, but I felt that when she's up on the umbilical, it's an umbilical cord to me, and she's birthing herself in the sky, in the mystical realm, in that blood space of the red, and she's falling to earth. And when she has to come to earth, she's got to let go of the cord. And so the sadness Elric is talking about for me was her having to leave the womb. And then the three women, the maiden, mother, and crone, take her. And there is a sadness from being disconnected from the primordial space in which you're held by the Great Mother in that, with that red umbilical cord to her. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah. That's a beautiful weaving of the right hemisphere, the imagination of what was going on there, right? And then you talking about it sort of from a left, explaining it. That's, it's like this weaving of, thank you, that was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Peter. Nope.
It felt like a shared expression of ecstasy versus the first woman expressing it individually. This was a measured sort of joint effort at sharing, this sort of ecstatic moment in dance.
Yeah. I've been studying tango, and it's really amazing when the two come together and you're in the flow together.
Tango instead of salsa. That's very different.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Dorsha, Janine, you want to say something? And then we'll go on.
Sure. Just for me, it was invitation, embodiment, and transmission. Because I was watching him more than I was watching her, because it was so obvious that she's completely feeling her entire body to the tips of her fingers and toes. Like she's electrified, waiting to move her body. She lives for the dance. Whereas there was a whole beginning period where he was moving very woodenly. He was trying to stay with her, but he was not fully, his passion had not been ignited. And then there was some certain moment where I thought I saw he surrendered to it, or he woke up to it, and it was like a transmission, like a co-regulation where boom, then suddenly he felt what she was, and he didn't need to have 20 lessons. He needed to have that energetic experience with her.
Right. And so what did you feel in that moment when
Just a recognition of the difference between,
but that's a thought, Janine.
yeah,
Go
what
to
did
your
I
body.
feel?
Go to your body.
What did I feel?
Go to the right hemisphere.
Yeah. Yeah, good question. I think I was tracking him. I was really analyzing that and curious about what was happening for him versus, yeah, it didn't really, I mean, I love watching dance as well as dancing. And for me, I go wild when I watch flamenco dancing. That has a physical, visceral effect on my body. I literally have to get up and move around if I'm in the presence of it. Whereas I don't know what it was about this. It was too performative for me. It was too voyeuristic or something that it didn't really fire me up in my body. So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I always feel very moved by it. I often cry when I see it. Yeah. So
It's
anyway,
very
okay.
beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. The Jungian analyst Dorsha Hayes says it is not liberation from the unconscious that the dancer seeks, but rather direct contact with the archetypal world in which the limiting confines of our ego adaptation are overcome. Okay, so let's go on to the next. Where are we? Oh, here we go. Come on, go away. Oh, there we go. Okay, James Hillman writes, concrete and visible emotional energy is the res extensa of the human body, but it is not limited to the enclosure of our skin. Rather, the human body is a situation, an interacting field of energy, and that was really present there, wasn't it? They were following each other. Whoops. This is a beautiful painting by Alex Gray. I don't know if you know his work. And Anne Baring writes, the soul is not confined to the individual. It is a vast web of relationships connecting invisible fields of energy with the denser field of physical reality. And this is something that we're in. It's the Indra's net. We're enmeshed in it. We're in it. And this is what nature is beginning to teach scientists. And whoops, wrong way. So I'm going to go now to the imagination, because the embodied soul has the soul, the body, the energy, emotion, imagination, and subtle body, which is what we're talking about here, and the somatic unconscious. So Einstein writes that said, imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited to all we now know and understand, while imagination embraces the entire world and all there ever will be to know and understand. And McGilchrist writes, the right hemisphere is more creative. It goes straight to the things that are most important. We come to certain ideas intuitively. These tend to be the most important ones. Okay. And so it is with the hand that guides the crayon or the brush, the foot that executes the dance step, with the eye and the ear, with the word and the thought. A dark impulse is the ultimate arbiter of the pattern. An unconscious a priori precipitates itself into plastic form. Over the whole procedure, there seems to reign a dim foreknowledge not only of the pattern, but of its meaning. Image and meaning are identical. And as the first takes shape, so the latter becomes clear. So when we're working with the creative process, with the imaginal realm, with the mundus imaginalis, as the Sufis called it, which is that place between this ordinary reality and the divine, the place where we go when we meditate, when we do imaginal processes, when we're in an active imagination. We don't have to interpret it. If we stay with it, it becomes clear. Okay, I am going to give you somebody's active imagination. This is a client that I've worked with for a while, and she has given me permission. And at the time of this, she's been a caretaker. Her parents have died in the last couple of years. And as we did this whole process, she is an adept at active imagination. She never shirked her responsibility and love towards her parents. So her grandmother and grandfather were a particular point of trauma for her. The grandmother was inappropriately physical and emotional, and the grandfather was a pedophile, and the grandmother was incredibly controlling. So there was a deep, deep early trauma in her psyche, which she didn't really remember. At some point in her adulthood, she was involved in a Christian community, and she had a breakdown, whatever that means. And they decided to do an exorcism. Now, in the exorcism, what is so interesting that we look back on now is that the traumatized children came out. Of course, they weren't seen as that, and it was not, they were seen as something to get rid of. Now, she had cancer about 12 years ago, and it went into remission, and in the last couple of years it came back. So when I first started working with her, about the second session, her voice changed, her body changed, her expression changed, her gestures changed, and a traumatized child came out. I didn't try to make it go away. I didn't analyze it. I didn't diagnose it. I listened. And at the end of the session, she came back and I said, "Do you know what happened?" And she said, "Yes." And for the next 2 years, almost every session, a different traumatized child came out with a lot of fear, mistrust, anger, everything that a traumatized child would feel. And I would say to the traumatized child, "Do you know that she's listening?" And they would say, "Yes." And I would say to her, "Do you know what happened?" So I was trying to link them together. And I was just listening to the child and accepting his reality. And they began to trust me. So her cancer had come back. Oh, and then she had a dream about 2 years in. She had a dream where it was sunny in the front yard and the children were playing in the front yard and the front door was open so they could go in and out. And that sort of signaled from the unconscious that that intensive piece of work was coming to quiet. It came up, the children kept coming up, but not at that intensity. So the work began to shift. And the cancer had come back and she was about to go into surgery. And this was a spontaneous act of imagination she had right before. I was in a lot of sporadic pain. I felt that the pain pulsing through my body included pain that needed to be released into and metabolized by my body. Old pain that had been shoved off into little bits and pieces of me, while my childhood self coped as best she could by escaping to pleasure. I am crying as I dictate this. It hits home so. I was incapacitated much of the afternoon. In the evening, the cramping intensified. An image of a very red rose appeared. When I touched it, it seemed to be covered in blood. I knew it was my blood. I had the sense that a garden was blooming in my pelvis and body. A sense of well-being welled up that gradually flooded me, as if what was happening in my body was supposed to be happening in just the right way. My garden of pain was in bloom, and it was beautiful. At some point after this, my pain dissipated almost imperceptibly. When I noticed that the pain had ceased, I was filled with an intense and profound sense of well-being. I knew I was in good hands, and I wasn't afraid of the upcoming surgery. The rose image became a touchstone for me throughout my stay in the hospital. And she was also visited many times during that period by hawks and owls. And the hawks continued, and they both have continued. And what's so beautiful about this work is that this person has come to so trust the process of the unconscious. She follows it. She's gone into very difficult places, very dark places that she's with my witnessing, where she could go and she could come through it, and transformation keeps happening. And she is very grateful for the work. And there's a tremendous amount of love that she has for this work and for all the various aspects of her psyche that she meets. So Nathan Schwartz writes, if one can successfully work through the subtle body realm, which is where we go when we're in this deep working space, there is often a chance to transform not only psychic structure, but physical structure as well. And this client had a relationship with her cancer. She didn't go, "I want to talk to my cancer." Her cancer came to her, and they would have conversations, and they began to have a relationship. Nathan says, mind-body splitting can mend when the subtle body realm is successfully encountered. So I call it embodied active imagination, because we can do all this in fantasy in our heads and stay in our heads, but that doesn't transform us. So it's about any of the senses, a visual artist. I'm not a real visual person. I'm more kinesthetic and energetic. I do the authentic movement work, and I follow through my somatic unconscious first. Auditory, Jung talked to the soul. The soul guided him through his journey, and he talked to many parts of his psyche that he met. Smell and taste. Proust says smell brings us to our earliest memories. And so this can happen in any modality. This is the expressive art, but it's about allowing something to emerge from the unconscious. It's not about taking a picture or trying to paint something. It's about allowing it to emerge. It can be movement, music, writing, a chef. It can be pottery, photography, nature. So it's not guided. I'm not doing a guided imagination. I'm not a guided imagery. I'm following the client. I'm helping the client bring out the unconscious. It's emergent. It happens. The blank page gets filled, and then we look at it and go, oh, what's that mean? And it's about the living symbol. A symbol awakes us. It sometimes scares us, but it gives us energy. It wants us to follow it. You say you have a religious symbol that's particularly important to you. It doesn't make any sense in itself. It points to something. It points to an experience. So you do active imagination with the personal unconscious, trauma, the childhood, and the archetypal transcendent, our spiritual guides, our spiritual parts. And Janet Dallett writes, active imagination contains the very essence of psychological transformation. The relationship between the conscious and the unconscious is what leads to a new center of synthesis of the personality. So when we consciously, which is what we're doing, intend to listen to the unconscious, that's all we have to do. We don't have to make it happen. We listen to it. We provide a creative space, a sacred space for it to happen. Our dreams come up, and we work with it. And it transforms us. We don't have to figure it out. If we say I'm in an authentic movement group, and this, like that I told you about in the beginning, and the similar themes would keep coming up, and I wouldn't try to analyze them. And then one day I go, oh, that's what this means. Jung says, the creative activity of imagination frees us from our bondage of nothing but, I'm nothing but depressed, I can't do anything, I'm nothing but, and raises us to the status of one who plays. My aim is to bring about a psychic state in which my patient begins to expand psyche, his own nature, his unconscious. A state of fluidity, change, and growth where nothing is eternally fixed and hopelessly petrified. Okay, I'm going to show a little bit more, and then we'll come back and we'll talk for a while. Okay, so once again, just close your eyes for a minute, take a breath. We've gone through a lot of material. Just see if you can let it go. Soften your eyes. Feel the chair. Let yourself be supported. Just be present. And what I'm going to show you is a little piece of authentic movement where there's always a witness. There's no direction. There's no music. There's just closing the eyes, tuning into the somatic unconscious, and allowing the body to move. So we're going to see a little bit of that. So gently open your eyes and see if you can just take it in. Don't try to figure it out. Just take it in.
This is a film about authentic movement, a practice concerned with the relationship between moving and witnessing, an invitation to move closer to the self. People looking for clarity in their lives find this way of work useful as therapy, as resource for any creative process, and as spiritual practice. Though both men and women study this form, in this situation, these 8 women are joining me. Authentic movement offers a way of learning how to see and how to be seen as we are. Within this framework, this form assumes complete trust in the body's capacity to remember and to tell the truth. With this dynamic at the center, in the past 20 years, a developmental process has become apparent. First, a person learns to allow self-directed movement in the presence of a witness. Next, the mover learns to witness another person move. Finally, people move and witness in a circle. Moving and witnessing takes us into and through personality, toward an integration of body and spirit, toward wholeness. Now we begin. As I witness many people moving, I try to create a clear and safe container for the movers, though they take responsibility for their own physical safety by opening their eyes when necessary. Eyes are closed to invite deeper listening. In the dark and silence, journeys begin with feelings, images, sounds, memories, thoughts, and sensations. Gates to the unconscious open as movers descend. As the witness, I have no directions for the movers. There is no way I can know what they must do. Not knowing what to do, Margaret's only guidance comes from her body and its deepening impulses. In the beginning of this process, impulse finds form primarily in 3 ways. For Margaret, energy is expressed in specific body parts. Elizabeth uses gesture. She is gathering. For Jean, idiosyncratic movements emerge. Originating in the unconscious, they have been buried under the rational, ordered body ego. They may initially appear as irrational and unfamiliar, yet they feel right.
Okay, let's come back. Hi, everybody. So let's talk about, we've gone through a lot of material, we've had some experience. So just from that experience, which is authentic movement, just to say a word, just say briefly what happened for you in witnessing that. It's not something we're used to witnessing. So anybody want to share? Yeah, Jenny.
The word is the real. There is the real.
Mm-hmm. It's called authentic movement for a reason, huh? Yeah, thank you. Marissa.
Just release, like an immediate sense of release watching that. And I just, image was so much of us back in our primitive, way back days when we were in the forest and we were just humans and there was not, all the rest of civilization. It was just this sense of so connected to what was nature and real. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah, the right hemisphere a little bit, huh? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
I just felt curious, like wondering, oh, what would that be like? That would be interesting to try.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, where do you live?
In Florence.
Oh, well, there are opportunities around here to try it.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out.
Yeah, good. Okay, any others? Yeah, Daniel.
Yeah, just thinking about how often we want something to make sense, which would be the left brain's sort of axis. And it makes me think that like we have maybe our whole world is inside of a already formulated conscious story. So it will make sense if it fits the story that we're already saying. We're almost like repeating to ourselves. So to be able to do something that makes no sense, there's a freshness about not being inside your own story, and whatever that feels like to be not making sense, almost like breaking a taboo. But then also, like you were saying, what I really liked what you said about staying with something longer before we rush into throw our story on top of it. There's almost a timing thing. There needs longer time of sitting in that place that's not familiar for the other side to approach and speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're really talking about that story is usually the left hemisphere idea, right? And that's a story we're in, but this is the story that's in us. There's another story in us, right? Yeah. In the chat, what was that? Let's see what we have some stuff in the chat. Like, I don't know. Darlene says, freeing oneself from the cage, the container that inhibits the body and the soul. Yeah. Okay. Any other? You can open up. Yes, Amy.
Yeah, so when I look at these people, I'm struck by how I just don't know what they're experiencing.
Yeah.
It's just, are they just playing? No, I know that I know authentic movement as a practitioner, so a player, a doer. So I just want to say the thing about when you close your eyes and especially your moving body, there's a authenticity. There's an experience of you don't know what it is, but it's something. It is something. I love that feeling. This is, sometimes you'll find a movement, that it just means, it has meaning, and you don't know what the meaning is. As you say, when I think I wrote something down, something happens, we're in a place, and then later we may understand the meaning. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And to me, witnessing somebody's authentic movement teaches me to let go. Because I can't sit there and go, what does that mean? Because I'm not witnessing.
I like that.
Witnessing means I'm just with what's happening and I'm seeing what sensations, what fantasies come up in me that are mine. They aren't the movers. But this is what taught me how to be an analyst, is to be able to just sit with and be with and not judge and not interpret until it becomes clear, So yeah. Any other thought? Yeah, yes, Janine.
So for me, authentic movement is like my primary spiritual practice. Um, so I was really curious how my body would respond to seeing it, but not being able to participate in it. And my solar plexus got really hot. It's still really hot. And just my solar plexus is like, yeah. And I think just to name this idea, or I don't know if it's an idea, it's a feeling, it's an experience that authentic movement is the body doing its prayer, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's the wordless prayer. The prayer is the movement, the message, whatever. Yeah.
The movement is the message. The medium is the message. The movement is the message, right? The body is the message. Okay. So we've had, was there another hand that went up? Michelle.
I had a similar experience because I also participate in authentic movement, and also I'm a Skinner releasing technique teacher, action theater, primarily a dancer. And so what arises in me when I'm witnessing something like this, it starts from this place of sensation and like that presence. And I also felt it in like kind of like throat, heart, solar plexus area, and sort of almost like not moving but feeling like that like moment. And then also almost kind of like dropping into the space itself of when I am located in a studio and there's like this, it's hard to explain. I think I'm like lacking words right now, but where there's like an inwardness with this expression at the same time. It feels like holding some kind of duality, but there's a wholeness to it. So yeah, love witnessing those types of practices.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's just open it up to any thoughts or questions, or you might have remembered something that I said or something, or want to come back to something. So let's just talk. Let's just talk. So this is about the body as shadow. And I went through kind of the history of how the body, the embodied soul, got put in the shadow, the cultural shadow. And then Jung's wanting to bring it out of the shadow and bring it into our present day and modern mental health. So, what struck you? What stays with you? What questions? What comments? Yeah, Amy.
Yeah. So I have a question after somewhat what someone said about it being a prayer, going maybe into authentic movement, but maybe into any art, and the difference, and well, the collaboration with meaning, the seeking meaning. Is that what prayer is? And seeking, yeah. So I'm just curious about that coincidence there.
Yeah. Yeah, what is prayer, right?
Exactly.
It's listening. To me, it's listening.
Yeah.
The unconscious, however that
And
wants to
it's
come
kind
out.
of inviting answers, inviting questions, and inviting, maybe not in the left brain, right? Inviting vision, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, inviting ourselves to get out of the left brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you. Penny. You're muted.
I had a memory about 45 years ago. I was working with a woman who was very creative. Among many things, she did active imagination and authentic movement and theater and just enormously creative. And I went to her studio one time to witness her. I just witnessed her. And it was a high floor in the studio and lots of windows. And as she was going through her movements, there was a flock of birds right outside. And it was as though the world was participating, nature was participating. It was just exquisite to be there. And in all the breath work and non-ordinary state work that I witnessed, it's very much like authentic movement. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's another modality.
yeah, and it's that realization that we each have an individuation process and we each individually feel in our individual body and story. And so, yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, and that's really important. We each have an individuation process. Jung would say, don't try to do my process. It's not yours. You have to find yours by going inside. So that's really what the Jungian work is about. It's about finding our guidance to where our unconscious wants to teach us. What does it want to teach us? What does it want to show us that we don't know about ourselves? Because that's its job. Its job is to bring to consciousness, to even scare us. Nightmares. Nightmares scare us. And when I was in analysis with a wonderful analyst, I would come in with the nightmare and she'd say, "Oh, good." Because it would really take us, because the nightmare, it's like it's trying to wake you up. You aren't getting it. You aren't paying attention. So the best way to make somebody pay attention is to scare them. And nightmares always turned out to be totally different than what the fear is about. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do here. And we're engaging, but if we just do it in the head in interpretations and diagnoses and da 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 da, it doesn't touch us. It doesn't touch the heart. It doesn't touch the body. It doesn't touch the soul. So that has to come in too. Yeah. Thank you. Other thoughts and questions? There's a black cat down there in the corner, and somebody in front of somebody's. Bonnie.
Hi. I just really appreciate, as a therapist in training and actually just taking psychopathology this semester, and hearing folks worry about how to diagnose somebody, how to get the right diagnosis. And our professor just kept saying, just get to know your client, just be with them. And you just said what I do, what in your words is I sit and I witness and I let it develop on its own. And that's all. I was just like, that's what my professor was talking about, and that's what you were saying. I just have to witness and let that build that trust, build that container, and let them come forth in their own time, and not and judge and not interpret. So thank you.
Yeah, and tell their story, not just the outer story, but what's the inward story, you know?
Right.
Things happen, but what happens in here? Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Peter.
Yeah, would you make any parallels with the release of this psychic energy that you had talked about earlier, that you had and probably happens through authentic movement, with raising the Kundalini that they do in yoga and Eastern practices? Do you see it as the same energy but different ways of getting there?
Sure, sure. I mean, there's only one energy and it comes through the body. It's interesting because when I was going through that, Janet was careful to not label it as tantric and kundalini, because that could kind of box it in, and and um, and it was more important to let it unfold.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was clearly energy that was coming up through the core of my body and going through a chakra, the solar plexus. But I mean, that's an interesting thing. Do we have to name it? Once we name it, what does that do to it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are times to name it. There are times to diagnose. The left brain is important, but to me, the art of the work is knowing how to follow it, and when the name happens, there it is.
Hmm.
Right. When the meaning happens, we get it. You know?
Huh. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what was this like tonight for people? What did you get? What are you curious about that you're gonna ponder when you go home or well, I guess you're already home, but when you go to bed, what's gonna, yeah, Marissa, I'll get Rosemary.
Well,
Let
I've
me think.
actually got a question, not so much about, this has been great. I love this. But when you were talking earlier about you had went through some spells of depression, were you doing the body work? Did you find that helpful during those times?
Oh, absolutely. It allowed me to go into the depression, into that dark place, and experience it from the inside. Absolutely. I mean, uh, uh, to me, a symptom or whatever we experience is a portal into the unconscious. We just have to learn to not freak out, to not get stuck, and to just be with. So I work a lot with body symptoms that somebody brings in, or a mood. Jung said when he would have a mood, he wouldn't try to figure it out. He would go into it. And as he went into it, then it would become clear what it was about. Yeah. We aren't used to staying with things, are we? We want to grab hold of them. We want to figure them out. We want to stop them.
We run from them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you. Rosemary. Or no, Eva.
Hi. Oh my goodness. This has been a really pivotal night for me. I just have to thank you, and I make sure you give us the name of your book and let us know if you have openings in your practice. I just was given so much. I have this theory that all problems on earth come from the missing divine feminine. And my second book is coming out now. And you just gave me so much anchoring because it's been kind of like my own theory without much authoritative support for it. And wow, I just feel so vindicated, with everything shared, and love to read your book.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. At the end, um,
I put it in the chat right now, actually, Erica.
The flyer is in the chat?
Well, the link to the flyer. So in the
Okay.
chat, if you just click that link, it will take you right to the
I want to go away right now, though.
announcement.
To me? To my, oh, it'll take you to, okay. At the end, I'm going to put up briefly a slide that has the QR code that you can order the book from. So if you take a picture of it, then you can order it. It's also on Amazon, but Amazon can take months to get here.
Can you
'cause it
just
has-
give us the name? Because that code thing, my phone, I don't even know where it is. Can you just give us the name of the freaking book?
Okay, it's Body is Shadow.
Okay.
Body is Shadow. Jung's method of embodied healing.
Of embodied. Oh, healing.
And you can buy it from Karnak, Karnac, in London. That's the publisher. Yeah.
Is it also on Amazon?
It is, but it takes months to get here because they have to order it from Karnak. So
Oh,
okay,
Karnak.
Before we move on, just to let you know, just a heads up that it is 5 minutes before 9, so we just have 5 minutes left, and then we will officially close and stop the recording. But discussion.
You're interrupting my time. Just a second here. I just wanted to ask: is do you have any room in your practice?
Well, you can contact me. Go to my website.
Okay. All right. I'm done. Thank you. I'm out of your way. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Amy. Okay, Penny.
This is part of what we've done tonight with you leading us is such an antidote to AI. You know, our own embodied experience is the antidote to all of that because it's so individual and it has so much meaning for each of us. And I ache for all the people who are not in their bodies.
Yeah. Amy.
Well, we are the embodied ones. When AI comes along, we are the anyway.
As one of the scientists who invented AI, he said, "We are not an algorithm.
Yeah,
AI is an algorithm. We are smarter than an algorithm."
It's crazy. Yeah, I, as a musician, I'm just, I've kind of found my way into the unknown and following the unknown and not needing to know. But when I, in terms of kind of learning about music, but when I go to play, not knowing is a conundrum because I have to do. But I'm bringing it back to the body recently, and I have a coach that does this too, but I have a new thing of sort of following my belly, loosening my belly, but I have to, that's what I'm going to take from this, is I have to step unknowing into, with the body. Step with the body. Take it with me.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Amy. Yeah. What else are people taking from tonight? Daniel.
Well, I'm taking away this feeling of like if the left brain is trying to act like it's all alone and it's the only game in town, if there's a way like authentic movement, it starts to understand that it's not alone, that the right brain or the unconscious is following, as you say, the art of following it, and it knows that it's being seen and thus it's in some sort of relationship. It's almost like an opening up of this solipsism of the left brain, and what does the left brain become as the what happens to our consciousness as it knows that the unconscious holds it.
Yeah. I mean, Jung knew the importance of all this, and that's why he developed it. When he went into the unconscious, that was his active imagination process, because he was there with different parts of his psyche, from the archetypal realm, from the personal realm, and he interacted with them. And this was his preferred method of working. This is what he encouraged clients to do. Whatever creative process happened, it didn't matter what, but this was the following and the learning to turn back to the right hemisphere and bring it in, right? Yeah. Very important in our world today. Any other thoughts or questions as we, Lenore.
Yes, hi, Lenore here. I love the program tonight and all of the ideas that are floating around in my head. And speaking of floating, I realize how much I have enjoyed when I have an opportunity to just be in a swimming pool, not to swim strokes, maybe just to float or just to move my body around. So, that whole idea of even as an antidote for AI or computer work, that people need to move their bodies and just naturally, but not in a structured way. And so much of our life is structured. You go to even to a yoga class and you've got to do certain things at certain times in certain ways. And that doesn't always fit everybody's capabilities. So just lots of thoughts.
Yeah. And like, I've worked with people who have been trained in art and they don't know how to follow their own passion anymore because they're so into the technique. So how to help them come back to their original passion and their original ability to just do art. I mean, music, art, it doesn't matter what it is, right? But yes, okay. So I just want to go back quickly and just share one thing, and then we're done, and we can go on if we want. Where are you? So Jung writes, in the last analysis, the human body is built of the stuff of the world, the very stuff wherein fantasies become visible. Indeed, without it, they could not become visible. Whoops. That's quickly. And this is another, the opposite of his wounded world. And this was years later, and it's called Dialogue, and we can see the healing of the split. And his eyes are focused, and there's some breath or dialogue or something that that's coming out of his mouth. So, and I just want to read a poem. John O'Donohue, in out of the way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge. In out of the way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge. So here's the flyer if anybody wants to take a quick picture of it. Body is shadow. I created the cover. That was fun. And this is the flyer. Okay, so I'm going to come back. And I want to thank you all. It's been wonderful to be here and share with you and listen to you and hear you and witness you. And so I will bid you adieu and good night.
On behalf of the Jung Association, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you, Erica. And look for us next season. This was the last of our lectures for this season. And if you're local, please come to the film and discussion on April 12th, Sunday, 4 p.m., Smith College Campus Center, 4 o'clock. We'll see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.